Welcome back to Narrations. This is a story about that uncomfortable in-between space, the age where you're not a child anymore, but not yet confident enough to call yourself anything else. It's about being spoken over, laughed around, and slowly realizing that sometimes the first place you truly belong is nowhere near home. This is the story of the way back. Duncan is 14 years old, and he already knows how to disappear. He does it by staying quiet, by shrinking into car seats, by answering questions with one-word responses that make adults lose interest quickly. Duncan has learned that drawing attention only invites judgment, and judgment, especially from adults, tends to linger longer than kindness. The summer begins with a car ride. Duncan sits in the back seat as his mother Pam drives him to a beach house for vacation. In the front passenger seat sits Trent, Pam's boyfriend, relaxed, confident, and entirely unaware of how much space he occupies. Trent talks easily, jokes loudly, and treats the world like it exists for his comfort. At one point, Trent turns around and looks directly at Duncan. He asks Duncan to rate himself. On a scale from 1 to 10. Duncan hesitates. He doesn't understand the question, but he understands the tone. When he finally answers, unsure, Trent smiles and tells him he's probably a 3. The moment lands quietly. No one reacts. No one corrects it. Pam doesn't intervene. She laughs it off awkwardly, as if pretending it didn't happen might make it harmless. Duncan stares out the window, absorbing the message without protest. This is how adults talk to him. This is how they see him. The beach house itself feels unfamiliar and exposed. It belongs to Trent's friends, loud, confident adults who drink freely, tease one another casually, and move through conversations without hesitation. Their children seem equally assured, already fluent in social rules Duncan doesn't understand. Duncan drifts. He spends his days alone, wandering the neighborhood, avoiding interaction, counting the hours until bedtime. Pam is distracted, eager to fit into Trent's world, anxious to prove she belongs there. Duncan watches her change, laugh louder, tolerate more, excuse behavior she would have challenged before. He feels invisible. One afternoon, Duncan wanders farther than usual and stumbles upon Waterwiz, a local water park buzzing with noise, color, and chaos. It's the kind of place where rules feel loose and joy looks messy. Duncan watches from outside the fence, hesitant, unsure whether he's allowed to want something like this. That's when Owen notices him. Owen works at the park. He's loud, sarcastic, unfiltered, and entirely unconcerned with appearances. He speaks quickly, confidently, and without cruelty. When he talks to Duncan, it isn't with pity or condescension, it's with curiosity. Owen offers Duncan a job. Just like that. No resume. No judgment. Just an invitation. Duncan doesn't know how to respond. The idea of being wanted somewhere, even temporarily, feels foreign. But Owen doesn't wait for confidence. He hands Duncan a uniform and tells him to show up. And Duncan does. Working at Waterwiz changes something subtle but important. The environment is loud, imperfect, forgiving. Mistakes are laughed off. Personalities are celebrated rather than corrected. Owen teaches Duncan how to talk to people. Not by lecturing him, but by modeling confidence without arrogance. For the first time, Duncan is not defined by silence. He is defined by presence. As days pass, Duncan learns the rhythms of the park. He jokes with coworkers. He learns names. He messes up and survives it. Each small interaction builds something fragile but real inside him, self-trust. Meanwhile, Trent's behavior grows harder to ignore. His charm masks control. His jokes carry edges. His kindness always seems conditional. Duncan notices how often Trent belittles others casually, how rarely he listens. Pam notices too, slowly, reluctantly, but she keeps choosing comfort over confrontation. Duncan feels caught between wanting to protect his mother and wanting to escape. At Waterwiz, Owen becomes something Duncan didn't know he needed, an adult who speaks honestly, who sees him clearly, who doesn't try to shape him into something else. Owen challenges Duncan, yes. But he never diminishes him. Duncan begins to stand differently. Speak more. Smile without immediately apologizing for it. He starts to feel like more than a 3. But summers don't last forever. And Duncan knows that eventually, the car ride home will come, bringing with it the same back seat, the same silence, the same adults who never noticed how much he grew. The question is whether Duncan will shrink again, or whether something inside him has already changed too much to disappear. Duncan's world slowly expands, one shift at a time. At Waterwiz, he stops feeling like a visitor and starts feeling like part of something. The park runs on chaos and inside jokes, on unspoken rules that don't punish awkwardness but absorb it. Duncan learns how to speak up when a ride malfunctions, how to joke with customers, how to hold eye contact just long enough without panicking. Owen watches this transformation with quiet satisfaction. He doesn't hover. Instead, he treats Duncan like someone capable of growth, someone worth investing time in. When Duncan messes up, Owen corrects him bluntly, then moves on. No shaming. No reminders. Just trust that Duncan will figure it out. That trust matters more than Duncan realizes. Outside the park, life remains complicated. Trent's behavior becomes more openly unpleasant. His comments grow sharper, his control more obvious. He criticizes Duncan's posture, his silence, his lack of enthusiasm. Each remark is framed as helpful advice. But Duncan hears what's underneath, judgment without care. Pam notices the tension now. She sees how Duncan shrinks around Trent, how her son's confidence evaporates the moment he enters the room. Guilt flickers, but she doesn't yet know how to act on it. Loving Trent feels easier than confronting what loving him costs her son. Duncan, meanwhile, begins to see his mother differently. He notices her hesitation, her discomfort, the way she laughs to smooth things over. For the first time, Duncan realizes that adults don't always know what they're doing, and that realization is both frightening and freeing. At Waterwiz, Duncan becomes indispensable. He learns every corner of the park. He helps new employees. He steps in when Owen isn't around. His coworkers trust him. They depend on him. The boy who once avoided attention now commands it, not loudly, but naturally. And Duncan begins to feel something unfamiliar. Pride. The breaking point comes during a night out with Trent and his friends. Alcohol loosens tongues, and Trent's mask slips completely. His cruelty surfaces openly, toward Duncan, toward Pam, toward anyone who threatens his sense of superiority. Duncan finally sees it clearly. And so does Pam. The illusion shatters. The confrontation that follows isn't dramatic. It's raw, awkward, imperfect. But it's honest. Pam chooses Duncan. Not in words alone, but in action. She leaves with him, rejecting comfort in favor of responsibility. For Duncan, the moment is seismic. Not because everything is fixed, but because he is finally defended. On Duncan's last day at Waterwiz, the park is busy, loud, alive. Owen senses what's coming without needing to ask. He gives Duncan space to finish strong, to say goodbye without ceremony. When the time comes, Owen does something simple. He lets Duncan run the park. For a few glorious moments, Duncan stands in the center of controlled chaos, directing rides, managing people, owning the space. It's symbolic without being sentimental. Duncan doesn't need speeches anymore. He knows who he is now. As the summer ends, Duncan gets back into the car. The same back seat. The same road. But everything feels different. He sits taller. He looks forward instead of out the window. When Trent speaks, Duncan doesn't flinch. He is no longer a 3. The Way Back is a story about the adults who shape us, both the ones who diminish us and the ones who see us clearly. It's about how confidence is built not through praise but through trust. And it reminds us that sometimes, the place where we finally become ourselves is the one we never planned to visit. If you enjoyed listening to this story, please like the video, share it with someone who loves coming-of-age movies like this, and subscribe for more narrations.